And we're live. Welcome to Hangout in the Crib. We're back. We've got some new faces, and we thought URF and Disturbed were going to be here, but maybe they'll show up in a few minutes. Anyway, joining me, the BP professor tonight, we've got El Jefe, who's been begging to come on for a while and help out, and here he is. And say hi.
Hey, Professor.
And we've got Tito, who was on the Crib Show way back when and dropped out for a bit, and now he's back, so maybe he can give us some perspective as someone who's returning. But
Hi, everybody.
So I've got my beer. I hear Jefe has his.
Yep, we're all good on that.
If you have your beer, we have everything then.
We're set. So I'm going to get in the slides. We are talking mega hulls today. And we'll also do some catch-up, but anyway. So let's talk the usual. First, the bug fixes from this week's release. Rogue crews will now correctly display in base defense. I wasn't noticing a problem, but I guess I never used crews that much. You guys see that, Jefe?
No, I haven't run into that problem.
Okay. All right.
Well, at least if you are, by the point of the viewer watching the base hit, you weren't able to see any rogue crew. You had to figure most of the time what they were using. So maybe it's that, because now I can see again demolition squads and stuff like that showing up.
Yeah, well, except it says base defense. So anyway, all right. So let's see. We got a display issue where the resource capacity different on world map than the dock. Okay. This next one's interesting. So they unlocked the level 30 and 40 Drac mines, but you can only hit them for fragments. You can't hit them for base parts if you're above that level cap.
Yeah, that was coming soon for a while. I'm surprised it took them so long to work that out.
Yeah, that could have been a hot fix if they really wanted it, but I think they had to figure out what to do about, high-level players farming these low-level bases on auto and just farming base parts for free.
Well, maybe on the part of the base parts I can understand, but as a returner and having my tech 17 months at least old from anything that came from there, I tell you, those mines are a nightmare to me, especially if I have to hit the 70s. They have something there like the coaxial, and man, I have tried everything I have in my fleets, but nothing works. Seems that only ballistics can work, and unfortunately those got holes. I have not been around while they were coming.
Yeah, you definitely need ballistics. Arbalests are on tier 3 of the Forsaken mission still, I think. That's a great ballistic to have. So, yeah. And then the last one, the Proto-Nemesis and Hellstar weren't giving splash to the missiles coming out of switchblades, so that's fixed now. I think when that first happened, I was hearing that was intended, but I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, there's another one that's not listed. Was the a lot of people were getting their tier 4 uranium early and thinking they didn't get it, but that problem's been solved.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you saw there was a couple forum threads on people saying I didn't get my uranium for tier 4, yada yada yada. And the same thing happened to me, but I realized at the time, because I didn't have that much uranium, that I got it when I hit about 40 million as opposed to 50 million.
No, I can tell you I didn't got it, and I sent a ticket in, and it was funny. The kick size support answer. So this time sometimes happens. That was his answer. And say, okay, fair enough. But I was pretty sure I didn't get it because I was 30,000 uranium off from doing one of those research in those archives that you have now, and I couldn't do it. So I got to wait that somebody helped me prep some 75 so I could get the uranium to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep rolling. I hear Disturbed will be on any minute, so that'll be good. Oh, wrong screen. All right, so let's talk about megaships. And so the first thing I noticed, hey, Disturbed.
Hello.
All right, we're just getting into the
Chris.
megaships.
It could be that somebody of you have YouTube also link, and it's not muted because since that they get some feedback, they say on the chat.
All right, I'll double check mine. Let's take 30 seconds and check our links. I'm muted.
Yeah, I'm
All right.
muted as well.
Anyway, all right. I'm gonna keep rolling. Okay, so we got mega ships, and they're not called mega hulls anymore, which I noticed. And then I put it up on here. They went really detailed in the release notes, said a lot of stuff, and so if you haven't read those, you should read those. But we're going to try and summarize them here. So the first thing to know about the megaship is it's big and it only stays on the world map. So you can't dock it in your base. You can't attack a base with it. Cannot attack a base with it. What you can use it for is there's going to be, apparently, mega hull specific PvE targets, and then you can attack other megaships with your megaship. So there'll be hot mega on mega action.
Yeah, somebody might have seen some Godzilla films and wanted to replicate that into the game.
Yeah, and then the other cool thing is apparently these megaship battles are going to get up to 10 players simultaneous. I know there's been some skepticism about whether Kixeye can actually handle that level of complication, but you know, first-person shooters do it all the time, so you know, the technology's out there. I think Kixeye can probably handle it. But yeah, having 10 players fighting sounds kind of cool to me.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so let's keep rolling. For why building megaships? So first of all, you build a megaship. I don't think my title really matches my slide, but this is about what goes on the ship. So you have modules, and with your mega, you add modules, and so there's sort of call them regular modules that make your megaship better. Weapon, engine, bridge, defense, and fleet. And really, I don't know any more than this, but certainly you can figure out a few of them. And then you've got an extra kind of module called a support module. And in a way, other than just bragging rights, my mega's better than your mega, support modules would be the reason why you build these, because they give you and possibly your alliance in-game bonuses. Again, no details. But that's what a mega is, and again, I said it before, I'll say it again, you can't use these things to attack or guard bases. So how do you get them? You unlock the Gantry and the Foundry, and to do that you have to have two things. You have to complete R&D number 20, and you have to collect 120 Gantry fragments. Now in the whip, they talked about R&D needing level 30, and apparently they scaled it back to 20. I think that's a pretty good thing. Get more players involved.
Yeah, it's good because I just finished level 20 today.
Yeah, I'm on 24, and I feel like I'm kind of like in the middle. You know, I haven't coined any R&D levels, but I've kept my R&D pretty much going constantly. So, you know, I think it'd be hard to be at level 30 without having coined some of that R&D.
Yeah, 20 is about the level where I think you should be because I've missed a couple weeks worth of with the outpost upgrade and then not having uranium during raids, but I have made some of that back from smashing bases. So level 20 is right where you should be if you're on it.
Yeah. Okay, and then you also need the Gantry fragments, and so you collect Gantry fragments from level 91 mega targets. They spawn only when sector threat is orange, so that's another reason to get your threat bar going. And then they spawn only on the half hour. That was one tip I picked up. So if you get your sector unlocked at like 8:02 p.m., you're not going to get any mega targets until 8:30. So keep an eye on that. And I guess you get between 2 and 4 fragments from beating one of these.
Yes, 2 to 4.
And I haven't hit any yet, so I don't know. Maybe you guys can say a little more about them, about what they're
I
like.
haven't seen any to hit, but I've seen the videos, and they're pretty much like the S target in last grade. It looks like perhaps the damage has been toned down a bit, though.
Okay. So you got the roving.
I don't know. I saw somebody hitting them. They were using a fleet similar as the ones they were using in the last raid, because I come on Saturday and just could sit there and watch how people was doing it. And I think it was how you call it, a Punisher, the Aegis, but the special one is Harlock maybe, and then 3 of those Thor rhinos, and with those they were hitting. Depending on the build, I saw people using that and with a single fleet doing it, and others using, I don't know, 3-4 fleets, including the Revenge and even a fleet of Punishers. But I guess that it depends on the build on those Punishers that you do it better or not.
Yeah. So if it's like the S target, then you got the Mega, you've got the roving ships, and then you got the turrets. And yeah, some people were talking about using Revenge on the turrets to outrange the scatters.
Well, any weapon with the scatter gun will do it.
You mean the Gatling?
Yeah, the Gatling, my bad, I'm tired. I just woke up from a nap.
Good morning.
Except it's
Yeah,
6 p.m.
I don't know. It would be kind of interesting to put the Gatling on another hull. I mean, you don't get that huge concussive bonus, but you do get the range, I guess.
Yeah, I've got a Borbus that I might use it out on because it's got 98 missile defense alone, so play around with it a bit.
All right, so once you collect those 120 fragments, the Gantry is going to take you 6 weeks to build. That's 42 days. And apparently you can't coin it until July 5th. And that date, I didn't do the math, but I think that's around 6 weeks from yesterday. So, yeah?
Do you have any insight on why you think they did that?
Well, my suspicion is they're not ready with the rest of the content, right? You can't. Maybe they don't even know the stats on the Hyperion.
Or there are no models or weapons and all those things that they said that this is going to provide. They have to slowly introduce them in each of the weekly updates.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they're going to be collecting more, or give us opportunities to collect more content over the next 6 weeks. But
yeah, because it wouldn't take 6 weeks to figure out the stats. It's either. The other thing that I found interesting is there's no there's no screen captures of what things look like or videos or anything like that to show us what it's going to look like eventually, which makes me think they're not ready.
Yeah. Well, they talked about the megas in this part of the megas in the town hall, the last one we had. I don't even remember, it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. And it was all hush hush then, but the information was not that different than what we have now, and it was clearly early, and they didn't have any art to show us back then, not even this much art that we're showing right here wasn't available. So they're still developing it, and I guess it's an interesting way to do it, get people started, but they don't have to be done yet. I think it's all right.
No, I actually like it on one side that they're actually giving us notice on things that are going to happen, as opposed to dropping it on us and you got to react to it, right away. This gives you a little bit of a heads up at what's coming. because they haven't really been doing that too much.
Right, right. And if they dropped it all at once, you'd get some people dropping 2,000 coins on the gantry. I'm sure you would. And I guess those who say Kixeye always takes the greedy path, this maybe not quite so much. I guess we'll have to see. But right? Okay. Well, anyway, then once you get your gantry built, maybe even before that, you can unlock the Hyperion and the Foundry. And again, you're going to need 120 fragments, but I don't think we've seen the targets that pay out those fragments, right?
Don't think so. Yeah.
I don't know, because I think that they were just getting the ones for the sort of shipyard that you have to build first.
Yeah. And then they've said more hull types will be coming, so stay tuned.
We'll probably see a Reaver mega hull, Scourge mega hull, Draconia mega hulls is what they're hinting at. A couple for each faction. So
yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I'm curious, as compared to the mega hulls, do the mega ships actually move on the map? I mean, move once you're in battle, because they act like your alliance. Unless I'm skipping ahead, 4 more alliance members can jump in. But from what I've seen of the mega hulls, there's not a lot of driving to be done.
Well, that's a good question that I think we don't know the answer to. My guess would be that they'd have to move a little bit, because they have, you can have one-on-one, right? Mega hull versus mega hull.
Yeah, they said something like that.
And if they're both sitting still, it's not going to be a very exciting battle.
Oh, it's like watching old people. Never mind.
Maybe it's a chess game instead of a Battle Pirates game then.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So then the other thing about megaships, and B-Girl is introducing this feature for us, is the megaship hive. So players in an alliance can link their megaships in a hive. Ships in a hive will get bonuses and support each other, and there's a link range going on. So, players in an alliance who are near each other. So, I mean, certainly this seems to say that you're going to be driving your megaships on the world map, at the very least. So, so that you can sort of form them into this hive, hopefully protect each other and give, kind of protect your bonuses, because you're not going to be online all the time, but your megaships are going to be on the world map all the time. So I assume they're going to be a target that players can just try and pick off when you're not online.
But are the bases now more available to jump wherever you want, or is it still likely? I remember that if you could, you were jumping inside into the guy that you prompted, or if not, you were sending wherever you could in that sector.
Well, you still can't pick your landing point precisely. You have more flexibility on where you can jump to. They give a lot of more options.
now the thing I'm wondering about that is, say you and your alliance have a group with 5 ships in a hive. Do you have to attack a hive with 5 ships in it, or could you attack single mega hulls? Because I can just see a big alliance getting 5 people in a hive and then going around and attacking other alliances' mega hulls one-on-one.
Well, the attack. See, I think. Oh, I see. Can you attack while hived? Like move the hive in formation?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, the battle itself is still one-on-one mega hull versus mega hull, mega ship.
You just have the support of the other 4 ships. Okay.
But yeah. So, maybe an attacker attacking a ship in a hive is going to be at an inherent disadvantage because it has to leave its hive in order to attack. Or maybe you can get a whole I don't know, that'd be pretty cool if you could just take your whole hive to another sector. I mean, it almost gets back to those days that you hear Blackwater people talking about, not that there's any on this call right now, um, um, when we all used to take all our fleets and drive into the neighboring sector and have big giant melees, and having that kind of hive on hive attack would almost get back to that, right?
Yeah.
You'd want to do that. That'd be pretty cool. And I think that's about all I've got about the megaships. So, did I miss anything? Anything else we want to say? Are we all excited? I guess 3 of us at least are at a high enough R&D to go after it. I'm pretty
I'm looking
excited.
forward to it.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot. I mean, I think it has a lot of potential. I think it's a lot of work to actually get to that point, even if you've been playing forever. I mean, the level 20 R&D seems really high. I mean, personally, I was never that excited about the R&D because I thought it would slow down my ship builds and upgrades with people trying to hit you and at least getting your turrets or your shipyard or whatnot, and you would actually, at the end of the day, lose more than you gain from the little bonuses that they had in there. That's with 4% ship build and whatnot. So, I'm like level 7 or something like that. I was never, and I don't want to get the Aegis because it's too slow and has too few specials at this point. So, a lot of people I don't think advance with it because they didn't quite realize what was going to happen at the end of the day. That this was going to get tied into. They always said we're going to keep on adding levels to it, but not that it was going to get sort of transitioned into another part of the game. So it seems like a fair amount of work. I mean, it could still be an endgame player type of thing, just because of the targets they chose that you have to hit in order to gain the, to gain the parts to build it. Yeah, I'm sorry, whatever the term is now, but it seems like, there's it seems like a lot of work for a trust me type of proposition that they're asking us to trust us that this is something that you want to do, but you're going to end up having to spend millions in uranium and hours research or months researching to get to this point. It's that's the part that I'm not as happy with at least not knowing what we're going to see at the end of the day. What is this going to be?
Yeah, right. It could be great or it could be terrible, I guess.
Yes, I guess it will depend also in which sort of bonus they give. If they give you something like the alliance bonus, maybe it's okay. But if not, it's going to make a huge step between alliances who have this stuff and alliances who doesn't have this stuff. Because they say that there are going to be some sort of targets to hit with it, and you have to see what kind of tech you can get out of those targets. Is it just tech for these new mega hulls, or at some point there will be blueprints that are for your ships and not for these mega hulls?
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And I think when Kixeye introduced this in the town hall, I think that was everybody's first concern is, you want to make this feature that's probably only accessible to call it a fraction of the players. What fraction I don't know, but call it, even say 10%, 5%, who knows. You don't want all the other players who just don't have access to it and won't for a while. You don't want them to feel like they're left out, because that's not
Well, that's the point, that since they allow you to be in that sort of fleet versus fleet with the mega hull in the middle, you can play, but we know that fleet versus fleet is not one of the cheapest parts of this game. Actually, those repairs are huge.
Yeah.
And Damnation and Hellfire brought up in the chat that they've spent a lot of time and resources on this feature, which the forum polls doesn't really think the players are interested in. And it sort of harkens back to what I was talking about. I don't think they've really sold it besides saying, trust me that you're going to like this and this is going to be a cool thing.
But all I can tell you is that this is not a new thing. I remember before I left, like 2 years ago, that they were starting to plan about this thing. It has taken them 2 years to come till the release date, and it's not yet released.
Yeah, well, allocation of resources is a great point. If you look at the last two raid prizes and the raids, and we're going to get into that in a few minutes, but the fact that they had to change the stats on the Apollo and change the difficulty of the last raid twice and change the stats on the Revenge, whether or not you like them better post change or not, it's a sign that Kixeye hasn't thought through those, call them bread and butter things that they're doing. And if everybody's busy dreaming up mega hulls and not paying attention to what the main parts of the game, the main parts of the game suffer.
Yeah, I think if Kixeye wasn't really running at a trust deficit, this would be received so much better.
Yeah. Well, let's go on to, because I think our next slide, I keep clicking in the wrong place. All right, so this week's Kixeye screw up is I'm not gonna throw stones at Kixeye because we screwed up last week and the crib screwed up. So just to make the link for you guys that might miss it, see, she's dressed up as a baby, and crib baby thing. So anyway, sorry about missing the show last week. It was a little disjointed, but we're all pulling through. We got some new faces here, and hopefully we'll keep going, and we'll fill in for URF while he's got his stuff going on. So sorry about that. So let's talk about the last raid. She's cooking up food, and I'm sure there'll be something left over, right? Anyway, so I had a couple topics to talk about from the last raid, and we can just run through it and whatnot. So, speaking of trust deficit, and I published an article on it, and so this assault deflection bypass was kind of brutal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It came by complete surprise to me that my Punishers would take that kind of damage. Yeah, it sort of put me off the raid.
Yeah. I mean, by the second nerf, I could kind of get back into it, and with all the little goodies we got, I ended up doing the raid cheaply, and even took that tier 4 special that I thought I wasn't going to take. But yeah, when they have to change stuff like that, it gets back to that trust deficit you mentioned.
Yeah, it was surprising, especially with all the detailed descriptions that we got from GD Rankin and Doom Rooster, that we got detailed descriptions of what was going to happen, and this really wasn't part of it, and they sort of don't want to talk about it afterwards either.
Yeah.
Not to be negative, it's just sort of, if they were straightforward with it, it would be it'd be easier to figure out what to do for the next raid.
Right, because we don't know for the next raid, where's the difficulty going to be? Are they going to crank it back up again? Is it going to be the same? And you don't know. Yeah, players don't know where to go. I think a lot of players just don't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time. It's not necessarily a straight-up difficulty, but do I bother with... I didn't bother to get the Apollo because I got sort of pissed. But do I... I'm going to use a Rhino as a tank. Do I end up putting assault deflection on it? using the D5Ms, or do I just load up on missile resistance, and then the high accuracy numbers on their weapons, or the ones that were splash? Do I bother with evade? Since you need to get up to such a high number. But if they took that number and lowered it to, even though it's well above 100, if they even lowered it by 50, there's a chance that it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So, how about you, Disturbed? What did you think of that last raid?
It was alright. I found the cheapest way to do the mega holes. Not as cheap as I did the raid before, but it was cheaper than everybody was saying. But like you said, the assault bypass was a pain. Because I had my Punisher with 75 evade and 3 bulks on and anti-missiles. 4 Zoe Rhinos could take that thing down to half health.
Mm-hmm. I think the root of this whole problem is the Punisher was overpowered. I don't like saying it because everybody loves their Punishers. I love my Punishers, but fundamentally that hull was overpowered. They could classify all these other hulls as garrison or siege or assault or whatever, but the Punisher is really good at everything, right? It has good evade, it has good resists against everything you had resist against. It has good assault deflection, it has good siege deflection, it has good speed. It was really good at everything. It was kind of the end game of power creep. And now what do everybody's they could either nerf the Punisher, which again everybody would hate, at least those of us who have Punishers, or they gotta do convoluted stuff like this deflection bypass. And I don't know.
Well, the MCX was like that at one point in time.
The MCX was really good when it was brand new. I agree with that. I mean, lots of hulls are really good when they were brand new, but the Punisher, how old is the Punisher?
I think it's 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Because we've had the Scent, the Citadel, the Revenge, now the Apollo since it, I believe. So 5 months?
Yeah, and it's still the go-to ship for a lot of players. Maybe not in base hitting anymore, obviously, but for everything else, it's a real go-to, right? 5 months later? I like I said, saying, "Oh, nerf the Punisher," is going to make me real popular, but
well, they did a pretty good job of it,
Well,
unless you were prepared for it and you put a lot of antis on your Punisher that basically, negated, but you could have pretty much done that with any ship.
Well, yeah. Having enough phalanx to stop that stream of missiles from the mega hull was absolutely critical. And if you're trying to do anything to get ready for the next raid, clearly you need some sort of hull that's going to get you 100% accuracy anti-missile. That's priority number 1 for doing this raid style. Right?
Yeah, see, I had my anti-missile Punisher had been anti-mortar in preparation for the Forsaken mission coming out. I was going to use it to hold off the mortars. When I noticed this raid was all missiles, I spent a 1-day token to switch it over to anti-missile. And then I had people complaining I hacked, or I spent 300 coins, or I worked for Kickside to get my fleet set up for this raid. It was like, no, I just spent a 1-day token and took 3 rhinos out of my storage.
Yeah. I mean, I had that anti-missile on my Harlock Aegis, so that's got the built-in accuracy buff, and then I countermeasure equipment on it, and so that did great for just stopping all those incoming missiles from the mega.
Yeah.
I do have a question about that. When a missile has a flak evade on it, and the build you just described goes well above 100, does that actually work to reduce the flak evade, or are you following what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does. It's just I mean it's just like accuracy and evade for a regular weapon.
Okay.
Oh, talking about that, one thing I heard, but I can't confirm it, is that a bullseye bridge made it so all your antis hit.
I heard
I
that
was
as well, and I didn't try it. I mean I heard it from people I trust.
Yeah, I was told that by a couple Alliance members, and they said they were watching people do it, but I never bothered to look myself, so.
Yeah, and I didn't think Bullseye Brigade was supposed to work on countermeasures.
Neither did I, but they're saying that he tried it without it, and a bunch of the missiles hit, and then he used it with it, and none of them landed. So.
Okay. Well, maybe Kixeye will fix that. Maybe they won't. I wouldn't bank on it, let me put it that way. All right. So we said enough about the raid. Do we want to talk about the Apollo anymore?
Well, I'm sort of. Well, I guess if you're. I guess that would be a good continuation as far as how to move forward for the next raid. The Apollo, or if you don't have the Apollo.
Yeah. Well, right. So okay. So number one is you got to have all that phalanx, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I heard about people using 3 phalanx 4. I was using 4 phalanx 4. That's kind of I would be uncomfortable with less than 3 phalanx 4, and that was on a ship that's if not near legendary rank. So you got to have the volume, but even more important than the volume is the accuracy. After that, you need the missile defense. You need the corrosive defense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The frontline countermeasure is also a good special because if you're using that as your spotter, like I was, it defends against the turrets. So.
yep. Yeah. I mean, I think rhinos have been cheap for a while, and hope they've kept getting cheaper, and we kept saying get them, get them, get them. So if you're in a real quandary, I think you should be focusing on rhinos. If you're kind of limited, hopefully you've at least got the rhino.
But I think that by now must be everybody having rhinos, because with those 3 millions they gave at the end of the raid, you could at least get that hole in the tier 3, I think it was.
Yep.
And if you are doing Forsaken missions with them, you can work till tier 4. I got them because Kixeye thinks that if I got a fleet of rhinos, I will maybe come back to the game. I'm telling you, just with that, I have been doing quite more than I thought. I was not expecting the first week after returning being able to hit at least tier 4, in the Forsaken missions, and well, at least I can do that.
That's good. Yeah. So I think that's got to be where your focus is. Do rhinos. Players are asking about how to build them. You can build one rhino as a tank and then build other rhinos as a hitter.
Yeah, but I was thinking of your article. How do you balance evade, missile resistance, and potential for assault deflection using D5M into that one hull that's going to be your tank?
Yeah, that's
I mean that's the tricky part, is trying to balance all those things and keeping your weight in line, and then hoping they're not going to change anything that much. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, my usual rule of thumb is to kind of try and balance your evade percent with your resistance percentages. But with these huge accuracies we saw in the last raid, that rule might not be so good anymore. Maybe you do want to ignore evade entirely. I mean, if you want to use these rhinos for a long time, I don't know. It's tough to give good advice.
yeah. I mean, I'm having a hard time with it as well. I mean, I have no armor. I built a rhino. I got during the VXP weekend. I got a brand new rhino up to legendary. I haven't put a stitch of armor on it, and it's already at 94% missile resistance. So, my next step is either do I try and figure, and I have one special that I've only used 4 of the specials. Do I go evade, or do I go D5M, or do I go to the Scourge armor with the fast repair? There's a lot of options out there, and I'm not really sure at this point where to go.
Okay.
But I guess that's just a me issue.
Well, right. I mean, your specific questions are pretty specific, but I think a lot of players just don't know where to go, and it's a problem. It's a kickside problem. If you want to keep players, they should be, players should be able to make a plan. You gotta plan long term to be successful in this game, and if you don't know enough to plan long term, then players are gonna get upset, and rightly so. All right, you want to move on to the Forsaken mission?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So the new Forsaken mission, and I don't know why I thought it was like avocados, but I like the picture. Avocados are good.
If you keep with those pictures, I am going to get lost sooner or later.
Come on, everybody likes guacamole. All right, so I guess we could just all kind of relate our experience on the new Forsaken mission. I mean, I didn't do tier 5 last week. I wasn't all that interested in shards. I did 197 and got kind of torn up, and I'm working on refitting my punishers now. So, what do you guys think?
The first one I hit, I got torn up, and then I tested with a bunch of things, but after I decided what to do, it was down to, if I were to coin the repairs, 3-coin repair for 97.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the 87s. I haven't tried the 97s. I used a Punisher anti-tank and a few Citadels that aren't even completed yet, and I can basically do one in a couple of minutes and get about 12 to 13 minutes of repair.
Good.
And which is so much faster than hitting the 85, so that it's quicker to get to 150 million than it was to get to 50 million prior.
So you got 150 million from hitting 87s?
Yeah, you got 9.9.
Yeah.
Or 9.4. I'm sorry, 9.4 million for each one.
Okay. And Tito, you said you were doing tier 4. Were you hitting the new targets or the old targets?
No, the old targets. I don't have any sort of Punisher or anything like that, and I think I tried it with those rhinos, and I think that the 60, that is the analog to the old 55, that pays you, I think, is 500,000. The old one is giving me maybe 5-10 minutes of repairs. The new one was giving me like 3 hours. And I have been trying some mixes with the old chips I have, but with nothing I'm able to do them. I get so much repairs that I can be 6-7 hours before I can hit another one. So as long as they don't keep the old ones for a longer while, that the 22 of next month, I think it is, that they're going to change, I think that people like me that just came back, we are going to resign to try to get tier 1, 2, or 3 and see what we can do from ever. Unless that they release hulls like the Punisher or like that in some sort of hull event, like those hull stores that used to happen, and I can get my hands on any of those. Because yes, I have DNX, I have Zergs, but with all tech, and by the time I will get them all refitted and prepared for do that, there will be at least a couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, you could try DNX. I was thinking you could try Crusaders. You know, if you can get Crusaders with Arbalest, but you're not going to be hitting.
I came Saturday on the raid. I just have been trying to upgrade buildings. I did the OP to 7. Now, I think the last one I get is the shipyard to level 3. But meanwhile, I was doing that Triton that you suggested me for tank. And I'm just over the clock trying to get the stuff. And then, well, in the raid, since they gave me the Rhino, I got the Crusader to try to do something with that. But I think that the main issue in this new sort of raid is if you have or not a deflection in any of the ships you have. Because I have seen people, well, they are nearly sitting under the mortars and stuff like that, and they don't get a single point of damage. I make a mistake driving, and it's 1.5 hours repair. So I think deflection is something that they introduce into the game, and it's very helpful. And everybody that have a hole of that kind must be taking a while, but by the end they will be able to do the same way the Forsaken mission, new Forsaken mission, or the old one. But for people like me that I'm so back behind now, it's going to be a hard work trying to do Forsaken missions as easy as I used it to do.
Okay. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Well, do we think it was a good change or not a good change? I'm still out. I don't know.
I like the way they approached it. I really like the way that they decided to phase in new targets with old targets, and I really wish they would do that with the raids like they used to.
Yeah.
It allows players to build all their ships towards a target, and then, well, maybe you get a couple more points if you hit the new stuff and whatnot, but you can still get it done. As opposed if they just turn the switch and like, okay, the 85s are now 87s and whatnot, people would be up at arms.
It's
but
true.
I like the way it was approached. I truly do. And I think it makes for less seat time.
Yeah, and that was, I think, one of the things I was really felt was really important was the less seat time. The old mission was just too long.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else about the Forsaken mission?
I like the new system that you know exactly what you're going to get, and it's not that random. So at least for catching up tech, like I'm doing now, it's pretty easy. Sorry, I think I interrupted somebody.
No, and well, I think that's a great point. That the new progression. I think that's better than the random. All right.
Yeah, I agree. At least you can plan on what you're going to build and whatnot in the future, as opposed to, especially for newer players, where you may have, 10, 15 things floating out there, and you don't have any clue what you're going to win. I mean,
Yeah.
I was so disconcerted with the blades, because I was hitting everything and I could not get the blades until it was the last possible thing that I could get. And at that point, I didn't really want them anymore.
Yeah, I think plan is the key word. Yeah. All right. So I can move on to the last slide. Breakthrough. She's carrying a tray of wieners. So I didn't have a breakthrough this week, although since you said it, Jeffe, the way they approached this Forsaken mission phase, and I think that was a real positive. And that's probably what I would pick as a breakthrough. Anything else good kicks I did recently? Bueller.
Yeah, I'm thinking on that one. I mean, there could be a lot of things that could be positive, but we're not sure yet. I mean,
right.
It's the trust me thing that they do with us, that this new mega ship thing could be a great thing, but they haven't provided a lot of information for us to figure out if it is.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to turn off the slides. I don't know if we've had some good chat questions or anything.
Well, it has been reported that we giggle like 12-year-olds. Is that good chat?
Thank you, Damnation.
Don't make us assholes. I think we were 10 and not 12.
Boobs. Sorry. Anyway. Did we have any other good questions or anything? I mean, we can cut it off, or we could keep talking. Is there anything else we want to talk about?
Well, coming back from 7 months to now, I have seen lots of different changes. Drag bases are different. Now you have those drag uranium bases, mines. I like the idea of the armadas, that it's not just an event for Tuesdays and Friday. You can do you can go for uranium any single day of the week. So no more trouble for those people that couldn't do them and stuff like that. The idea of the tokens is not a bad idea. It's like a way of giving you coins in a sort of way. But other things, I think that keep being the same way, like they were in the past, mainly as the change of the blueprints, like they did with that. What's the name? The Revenge, I think, is the ship that they changed it. As long as they have the ability to change blueprints that way, I think that that trust that they want to get from us is going to be hard, because for anybody that has to coin something like that, and then see that they can change it at any point, it's going to be hard for people at the end, even for the big whales, to try to coin for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if they want trust from us, I think that the first they have to do is get the right to change that blueprint so easily as they have right now, and try to prepare things better before they introduce into the game. If then they have such a game change that is affecting to the point that they have to, what was 16 hours later that they made the refit after people has coined them.
Yeah, they changed, right. They had to change the Revenge. They changed the Apollo. Another big nerf that got people pissed off was when they introduced the frontline countermeasures. Let's not forget that one. They were introduced with a 75% turret defense, and then people got them and coined them because it was the new must-have thing, and then they nerfed them a day later to be 50%, and all the people that coined it were just out.
Now, see, the thing about that is, sure, they can change the stats, but for the people that coined a change on it, they need to refund them, but they refuse to do that.
Yeah.
That's something that I can tell you. I have been playing in other companies, and the moment that they do something like that, you have to change two choices. You can keep it, or you can just ask a refund, and they give you the 100%. You don't have to make any deals with them. So they should just start to do something like that.
But there's a lot of Apollo questions, and we really didn't talk about those as far as, like, do you have any ideas how to move forward with the Apollo?
I posted a build on my blog, and it was like one with a bunch of phalanx, and then more with a bunch of, I don't even remember if I did switchblades or blades, but I actually built the tank just to rank it. So I just put some missiles on it, and then I want to refit phalanx on it and try it as a tank in the next raid. But it's hard to match that ship up with other non-Apollos. I mean, I played around with it a little bit, and with the speed going all over the place, it was really tough. It did pretty well in the VXP weekend. I got it to legendary. I mean, it could beat an 80 all by itself, just the one ship, and that was kind of cool. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to really mix it with a non-Apollo fleet and use it effectively like I was hoping. So that's where I'm at with the Apollo.
Did you, when you were leveling it up in the VXP targets, did you notice that it was tougher than you thought it would be? Like maybe the assault deflection was working now?
Oh, well, those level 80 targets were a lot easier than the 80s in the raid, no doubt. The thing that would really mess it up, though, is the disruptors from the Zoes would bring it to nearly a dead halt. It would really, because it loses its speed bonus and it's got this negative speed on top of that. So that would really screw up the Apollo, and that experience also is something that makes me skeptical that it's going to work really well as a spotter for the next raid. So I think we'll still have that slowdown.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, we got that one question: Savage and 4 Apollo or 5 Apollo? I would do the Savage and 4, especially for the next raid. So
Are you using the Savage as the tank, or are you using the Savage as a
just for
a
its aura?
dead ship?
Yeah, just for its aura.
Okay. Because it didn't get quite the corrosive buff that the Rhino did.
Yeah, what's it still at 50?
The Savage? I'm not sure what the Savage is, but I know the Apollo's at 50.
Yeah, 50 corrosive. Yeah.
I'll take a look at the Savage real quick.
I don't know. Did it get corrosive at all?
I think it's 30.
It did get corrosive.
It got it right before the raid. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Savage got it right.
So I got a question from Damnation. Does agility system negate the slowdowns enough to not reach the slowdown threshold? And I'm pretty sure the answer is no. Now, I didn't have agility on mine. Agility reduces the duration, but not the amount of slowdowns. So I don't think agility would really help.
Yeah, 50 for the Rhino and 30 for the Savage.
Okay. But it's faster now, isn't it? They sped it up to 15.
Yeah.
The Savage, yeah, is faster than it used to be, because I used to have it as go with Mastodons and to Tritons, and now when I put it is speed 26, while the other ones are 18. So yeah, they increased the base speed of that ship.
Huh.
And talking about that, the Frostburn, I'm surprised that didn't get a corrosive defense bonus like the V2H's did.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one surprises me, because at the end it was the same. It has a corrosive of 40%. No, sorry, it's the composite that it has. It didn't have, and it surprised me, because being the same ship at the end with better stats, I think that they just missed that one.
Yeah, the Frostburn should have gotten that buff too. I agree. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
I have seen one way to stop revenges. Everybody's saying they're overpowered. There's one guy in this sector who coined all his Deadeyes to level 7 platforms with attack transformers, and then put all his stuff on his island with Fire Sport 2 on them. Revenges only get 27% in his base now.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. Was it six Deadeyes, 6 level 7 turrets, 6 AT transformers? You'll be all set.
Yep.
Okay.
It's the only base I've seen that stops them easy, so.
I'll get right on that. Where's my wallet?
And you can't even get executioners at this point.
Well, I did earn all those. I do have the 6 in my inventory. I mean, I've built one, but yeah, I have the other ones in my inventory.
But didn't they suck?
3 built.
But didn't they suck at that point?
Well, yeah, when they were first introduced, they weren't that good, because you run into a power limit until you get the level 7 turret. So yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if they came out with some of the time-limited campaigns for a lot of stuff that's useful right now. Like the Zoe Rhino has a 10% higher missile resistance than the normal Rhino. And then you have the Executioner. There's a lot of stuff that was in part of the TLCs that's no longer, available now that it's useful.
Yeah, we haven't seen the TLC in a while.
Yeah, and the last one was...
The last TLC we had was for the anti-rocket turns, and not too many people did that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since they required a level 7 tower to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, despite what the original recommendations were as far as how to build and upgrade your base, I didn't upgrade my warehouses. I'm keeping them low. I'm upgrading my towers and sticking them out front with the basilisk and whatever else I can throw on them to actually get the. I've been playing long enough that sacrificing your warehouses is not kosher with me, so to speak.
Oh, I'm well past that point. I'm certainly fine sacrificing a couple. Hey, speaking of new stuff in the base, does anybody put that? I put one of those rad blasts.
EMP.
EMP, yeah. Is that working well or not? I haven't been attacked in a while.
I put one on mine, but I've been bubbled. But I've heard they don't do the damage they're supposed to do.
Okay.
So
I
I'm
saw that
thinking
as well, and I'm just wondering if that's really the case.
I'm thinking it's glitched right now, and they're gonna fix it later. I hope so, anyways. But for now, I'll just put 2 on. So I at least get a little bit of damage at the beginning of the battle, maybe enough to kill a flagship in there that's there for the flagship effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and Larry, have you since you I asked you a question like 3 or 4 days ago regarding stacking of fire fields. Have you figured out any more on that or not?
I haven't. I mean, again, for those of us who weren't in that one-on-one conversation.
I was going to explain if you said no, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess the question was whether how do fire fields stack when you get overlaps, and I assume they stack multiplicatively, but I didn't know that for sure. So that was the quick story.
Yeah, because right now you can have cryo triggers and wendigos and glacials all stack on the same spot as far as fire fields, and
there's the way that a lot of that stuff worked. Back when there was the big scandal with turret defense and the Hellhound, is if you saw the plus in front of the stat, they would stack. But then if there was like no plus, if it was just like 50%, then they wouldn't stack, and it was just a select high. And that's how Kixeye explained the turret defense. I wonder if there's something like that going on with fire fields, and it's just a select high, because you could stack up a bunch of, cryo glacial fields, and that'd get really brutal.
yeah, I'm just wondering if anybody out there on the chat has done any experimentation with that and figured out how it might work. Okay, never mind.
Chat's a little delayed. Maybe they'll get to it, but yeah, I don't know anymore. All right, so should we call it a night? It was a good show, guys. Thanks for coming.
Right, good night.
All right, well, and again, thanks for everybody in chat. Thanks to Tito and Jeffe and Disturbed. And, I got a blog at bpprof.blogspot.com. It's been a little slower coming with articles lately, but, I try to keep going. So, thanks, and have a good night. Say good night.
Yeah, they look at me a lot, your articles, to catch up a bit with whatever I have to do now.
Great. All right. Night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night.